it only makes sense they stop searching once they find you. And if they find you and make an entire opera about finding your ass, did they find you and turn you into an opera? Did they turn us into a fairy tale? All right, man. So it's crazy. It's crazy talk happening around here. Now they say instead of being kings and queens, or in this opera, the Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama is loved by Salika, an enslaved Indian queen. India, superior, and the African of the title who he buys at a slave market. So she's a queen bought at a slave market somewhere at the southeast coast of Africa and takes back to the Portuguese court. So she's an enslaved Indian queen, but she's over there around Africa, and he finds her in a slave market. On his return to Lisbon, having lost his captain Bartholomew Diaz in a storm of the Cape at the Cape of Good Hope, he pleads for finance for a new voyage of exploration, this time led by himself on the basis of what he has seen so far. So they're looking for a new world, right? Looking for the gold, right? The gold. For his pains and his less than pious attitude, he is thrown into the Inquisition jail at the behest of the influential clergy present at the court. Salika then saves his life in jail when her companion slave, Nalusco, threatens to kill him while he sleeps. They call Nalusco a companion slave. This is crazy talk. He's just a companion slave. He's not a king. He's not a priest king. He's just a slave now. This is how they write history, man. He threatens to kill, I guess, Da Gama while he sleeps. However, Vasco, in his turn, loves and is loved by Dona Inez, a lady of the Portuguese court, whose father opposes their marriage because he considers Da Gama to be a mere adventurer of no family. Inez promptly secures Vasco's release from jail by agreeing to marry the powerful and hot-headed nobleman Don Pedro, whom her father had selected for her. In response, before he knows of her betrothal to Don Pedro, and to show Inez that she should have no jealousy of his attachment to Salika, Vasco gives Salika and Nalusco to her. Pedro then funds a voyage of his own to the Indies, while Inez and several of her ladies on board, and Salika and Lusco also included. Vasco follows their expedition in another ship to warn them of the dangers awaiting them as they round the Cape. As they near what is revealed as Salika's kingdom, most probably the island of Madagascar. Okay. Nalusco is somehow complicit in a... Hold on. Okay. Remember, she's an Indian queen. All right. They don't know. They're saying probably in the island of Madagascar. Or we could talk about Cuba. How about Cuba? You know what I'm saying? How about Puerto Rico? How about Hawaii? Probably the island. They don't know, right? But Lusco is somehow complicit in a raid where Salika's people take over the ship. Just before this, Vasco boards Pedro's craft, but is greeted by outright hostility on Pedro's part, to the extent that he orders Vasco's execution, an instruction then lost in the subsequent fracas, F-R-A-C-A-S, fracas, in which Don Pedro and all the other men, apart from Vasco, are put to death. Salika is taken back to her kingdom and quickly proclaimed queen. When a disoriented Vasco then appears at her court, She immediately informs all and sundry that he is her husband. This in order to avoid his execution under laws decreeing death to any foreigner found in her territory. Unbeknownst, Inez and her ladies all struggle ashore as well and are duly sentenced to death after being discovered near Salika's court. Though all her ladies are killed by inhaling the poisonous fragrance of the manquineo tree. Inez survives to confront Salika in a climatic duet. So here's the love triangle. In the course of this encounter, Salika magnanimously recognizes that Vasco's love for her. Oh, that's all they're gonna give us. Oh man, it was getting crazy. The love was going crazy. All right. Let's not get too crazy in love over here. This ain't Beyonce and Jay-Z. All right. This is not Jigga and Beyonce, man. All right. This is Saluka or Salika and Nalusco. And they're found in a faraway land. Okay. Okay. All right. Capture of Nalusco and Salika, sovereigns in a faraway land. Faraway land like India's, 3 Indias, even the learned Europeans, even the smart guys knew that this had to do with the distant, faraway region of copper-colored cars. Oh man, I love this book so much, man. It's just really riding your face bone. Again, I want to get on this San Benyan flow, but yeah, everybody knew Prester John is a Naga. There was no question about it. This the Naga with the sapphire. His bed is made of sapphire. Everything is popping off with the con. We talked about the Catalan map. That's where we saw the, golden apple drop with the Prester, over there. The Mansa Musa everybody's holding this golden fruit. We talked about the apple of Eden briefly, we're just touching on it. It says at a place, this is chapter 3, I believe. Prester John, the noble Ethiopian, right? So this is how we started the series. At a place south of Egypt on the Catalan map, a Saracen king is described as being always at war with the Christians of Nubia, who are under the rule of the emperor of Ethiopia of the land of Prester John. Say it with me. Ania. The mythical, imaginary Ania. The mythical, imaginary Ania by Godfrey Sykes. When the great Venetian traveler Marco Polo returned from his eastern wanderings in 1295, he brought back for the use of geographers and future travelers a fund of information concerning Eastern Asia, which was to serve as the main source of such knowledge for the next 500 years. It was thus inevitable that as the wave of Spanish exploration, Vasco da Gama, swept across the newly discovered American continent, more than 2 centuries later, men should instinctively turn to his pages for information concerning the mystic land of Cathay. Where's Cathay? Which is now conceived had been so nearly reached by these new travelers. Where's Cathay? All right, this is supposed to be North America, right? Florida, right? All right. Cathay. Cateo. 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 Kara Katai. Cathay, Katai. We're talking pure land. We're talking promised land. Where's China? Look, China, right? Cathay. Not just in the Gastaldi 1548 map of the world. Nah, man. Not just here does it say Cathay. Does North America even exist? We're just talking Asia. Here we go, boss. Cathay. Right? This is Mexico, Paris, or Paradise, love to the family. Florida, Cathay. Cathay. So, do we have Cathay anywhere else? We got China connected to South America. I mean, China is what Marco Polo called Cathay. We got another map, A la Carte Navigare by Tommaso. And again, North America or India Superior connects directly to South America, right? Cusco, India Superior, Mangi. And I want to talk about Mongol again, the Manchu, Manchu Khan. Remember, that's the grandson of Genghis Khan, right? Okay, go get the drop. Because this whole Manchu Khan has a lot to do with the Han Dynasty, possibly. Let's put it together. Remember, in the Prester John investigation, we like to put these histories as they seem to overlap. The Mongol history with the Genghis Khan and all the Karakatai and the Cathays and all that, right? We like to put that next to the indigenous American history because clearly, does North America even exist, or are we just talking India Superior? So that overlaps with the Russian flow, because that overlaps with the Asia flow. And the Rus are you. The Rus is the truth. And Rus, Clan Cial Andreas, Monagas, that's you. That's us. That's Jerusalem. These are all the titles, your royal titles, right? So you are the Rus. Russia's named after you. One family, man. Tangu, right? This is what Genghis Khan with the war with Prester John in 1202 in India Superior. And here's Cathay again, Cathayo. So we got Cathay here, China here, Cathay. Cathay here in Orientis finds 1531. And in 1548, Cathay next to India Superior. Back to Antioch. Back to Antioch. The mythical Straits of Antioch. Marco Polo's kingdoms were placed close at hand in the northwest, ready to be absorbed by forthcoming expeditions. Let's get it bigger. That's the biggest we got. All right, developing the idea a little further after the discovery of the mainland north of the isthmus, we find that the maker of the map illustrated in outline has placed Prester John and his idolatrous neighbors not very far from Mexico. Yeah, Prester John was surrounded by the hijack. Remember, he had to keep Gog and Magog in check, right? What it's saying, the medieval history of the Israelites. Oh, there we go. There we go. So Prester John had to keep Gog and Magog and all his idolatrous neighbors in check. You know, David has Psalms written about how he's encompassed by his enemies. Hold up. Let's get the drop. There we go. Page 313, Medieval Empire of the Israelites. The symbol of the Grail is the symbol of authority, and the traditions which are inherited is a part and parcel of the legendary Prester John, the legend of whom was spread widely in the Middle Ages. John was a master of a huge empire. He was omnipotent and all-powerful. King and czars were for him only subjects, so his title was above a king title. He's a priest king, he's a Prester. Tracticus Polymacaremus calls Prester John king of kings, Rex Regnum. He combines in himself spiritual and secular authority, and he can say about himself, Prester John, by HaWah's grace, Lord of all lords, who are only beneath heaven from the rising of the sun to paradise, paradise on earth, right? In all the medieval sources, Prester John controls and holds back the tribes of Gog and Magog and controls the seen and unseen world. So in order to hold back these tribes, you know they must be near the kingdom of Prester John. Just like the kingdom of Judah was right by Moab, right? Okay. So in the mythical straits of Antioch, what they saying? So this map maker has placed Prester John and his idolatrous neighbors, right? Gog and Magog. He controls the seen and unseen world, holds back the hijack. He's surrounded by these hijack, and they're not very far from Mexico. Bang. We done blown this map up many times for you before, but right here in the middle, you see Prester John. It's as big as they're going to give us here, but you see it in the middle. Prester John, India Superior, Mexico, connected to South America. This is the map in the British Museum, 1530s. So we're staying in the 1530s with all these maps, man. 1530s, 1540s, you know what I'm saying? With India Superior and Mexico, right? And Cathay, Prester John, India Superior.